My name is Ed Thompson, and I want to welcome you to this very special edition of Genealogy Website Builders mini course. Many of us are running our genealogy websites using WordPress. WordPress is a very popular framework that is running, last I heard, 41% of the internet. And it's an ideal platform for having your own genealogy website. The problem is, how do you add genealogy functionality to your website? And the answer is through plugins. I did an evaluation during our bootcamp last year of several different genealogy plugins. There were only two of them that I could personally recommend, and one of them was GedShow. And with us today is Colin Spencer, one of the creators of GedShow, to talk a little bit about the plugin and to do a demonstration for us. So, Colin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ed.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm retired and have been for some time. Up until last year, for 18 years after I retired, until last year, I lived in Spain, and I moved back to the UK just over a year ago. And so I'm in the UK in Lincolnshire. My main job on leaving school was as a police officer, and always had an interest in software. And whilst I was a police officer, I also had a part-time software business, creating software for people, one sort or another, over the years. And after I retired from the police force, I then ended up working in IT in one shape or form, either for myself or for one of the big FTSE companies, your equivalent of Fortune 500 companies, until I retired for a second time from there. So
are you still poking around in website design, or?
I do website design for people, friends and family, and organizations I'm involved with. For instance, I do a lot of wood turning, as well. So I'm responsible for the Association of Wood Turners of Great Britain, their website, as well as my local wood turning club. So plus I've still got some customers in Spain whose websites I look after. One a local radio station, for instance. So
and most of them running on WordPress, or?
Yeah, all of them are running on WordPress. Slowly but surely have moved away from bespoke hand coding HTML over to WordPress. Yes.
Yeah. So, what drove you to write GedShow?
Right. If I share my screen, I'll show you why. Where are we? There we go, that one. This is what I used to use, which is an application called Genealogy.
Okay.
And that was available in two flavors. One was as a WordPress plugin, and the other was as a standalone program. Unfortunately, the software developer went AWOL. Kept on promising updates, and that was it. He disappeared, and slowly but surely it stopped working as PHP was updated and WordPress was updated. And so I had, like you said earlier, I had a look around, and there was nothing that matched Genealogy. The advantage of Genealogy that I found was that there were no static pages created. There was one other plugin I found, I can't remember what it was now, but it uploaded to GEDCOM and then created a static page for every person in the GEDCOM. And I couldn't see the point of that with a relational database sitting behind WordPress. And so as a result, I created GedShow.
So you were looking for basically a single page application?
Yeah, what I was looking for was something that didn't create lots of pages, because if you think about what do we actually, why are we putting our information online? For me, it's cousin bait as much as anything else. So actually, you don't need lots of static pages in that respect. If you are publishing a history of individuals, yes, that's fine. But as I see it more that we're looking for people, relatives that we don't know about today, to get in touch with us, and to build on that. That's how I see it. And for me, I wanted something that was easy to use. And
so correct me if I'm wrong, but for those of you watching who may not know what a single page application is, basically, rather than having 2,000 pages, one for each individual, you have one page, it displays an individual, and when you ask it to display another individual, it dynamically changes the data, but you're still looking at that one page. Yeah. So that is now the question I have about that, and one of the reasons I've been hesitant to go with that design myself, is what's the impact of that on search? If the page doesn't exist at all times, is the Google bot going to be able to crawl that and build the search index for the page for the whole
right
site?
All that the Google bot can see is the main surname page. It can't see the individual pages. However, what you've just asked is something that one of my German customers has asked for. If I pop up my live website at the moment, so we'll share that one. So this is what Google can see. So this is my own genealogy website. And what it shows is all the surnames. So there's 1,953 individuals in the database, and it lists all their surnames. So but Google can see that.
It won't drill down any further?
No, Google won't see any further than this, because this is the only static page that it can see. And so what I've been asked to do is to create a page for Google that lists all the individuals with their basic BMD information in one huge page. The idea is that Google can crawl that and see the individuals, but it wouldn't be linked in the menu, and it wouldn't have a lot of the other data in it, like the notes and other censuses and information like that is in the normal page. So that's on my to-do list for upcoming version, shall we say.
Okay. And this is a little bit technical for our audience, but have you tried any of the XML site mapping things where you submit it to Google yourself as an XML file? And does that change anything?
Okay. Not as far as I know. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. I must admit that I'm not that worried about it. If people, it's always in my signature of my emails. It's in anything I write, and hopefully that will be enough. Okay. But we'll see.
So let's jump into the plugin. Let's assume someone has already installed the plugin, and yep. Where do they start?
Right. Okay. I should say that I am not a fan of the block editor that is now part and parcel of WordPress. I'm very much an old school admin, and so as a result, I find that the current WordPress default themes do not play well with GedShow.
Okay.
And so I recommend that you look at alternative the themes for the display. I've knocked up a quick GedShow demo site that we'll look at in a minute, and I've put the Bard theme, which is a freebie theme, up, which is dead simple. The disadvantage with most of the WordPress themes, they expect you to have widgets left and right of the data. Whereas if you're putting 2,000, 3,000 or more surnames or whatever on a page, that's narrowed down to 2 columns. It makes for a very long page. So as a result, I recommend looking at an alternative theme for your site. I also recommend that you put the classic widgets and the classic editor plugins in as well. So if we go into plugins, you can see there's only 3 plugins activated: Classic Editor, Classic Widgets, and GedShow. So if we then go over to the GedShow page, this is the main GedShow page. And if we ignore the top part for now, we'll come back to that in a little bit. Here we've got the current GEDCON file, so that tells me what GEDCON file is uploaded in the current database. So it was called subset Spencer Ged, and it was uploaded on the 24th. So the normal browse, select your database, select your GEDCON comes up. Where did I put it? On the desktop? There we are. I'll load it again, so we can put it in, upload it. It then goes off. Right, that's now uploaded and in the database.
Now, just to be clear, did that completely replace what was previously there, or did it merge them?
What happens is, technically, all the tables are dropped, and the new data is loaded straight in over the top. So it only keeps the current data. So if you look, we've now got a date of the 26th at the tail end there. So that's it. So if we now go to pages, and at the moment we've got a home page, and that's, ignore the privacy policy, ignore this one, we'll come to this one in a minute. So if we go over to view the home page now, there's the home page. There's only 68 individuals in that small GEDCON file that I uploaded, and that's what it's dropped onto the screen there with all their surnames. And to see what we've actually put on the page is we've used the shortcode in the square brackets, GedShow living, and you can either select yes or no. So at the moment, it's showing everybody. The advantage of this is that for some of my users, they put a living no page available to everybody. They then have a page that's behind the paywall that's got living yes for individuals who have got logins to the website and can be trusted to see living information, living people's information.
And for just a moment, for those of you who are using a block editor theme, myself included, you can put that shortcode into almost any block, but there is a shortcode block. It'll also work in an HTML block. It'll also work in a paragraph block. So there should be no conflict there between what happens with blocks and what happens with the classic editor.
Yeah. So if we now change that yes to a no, and we update it, I don't think it's actually going, and we drop back to the page and we refresh, we've now gone down to 66 individuals. So 2 of the individuals before were living, and so now you won't be able to see them.
And how does it determine a living individual?
If they've got a death date, or they've got a living flag set.
Okay.
So that's what it looks for. Death date or burial, or living flag. If we drop in, so at the moment, as you can see, this is just a little small screen. If we drop into Spencer, what we've now got is dynamically this has been created to the Spencers, and it shows everybody with the surname Spencer in the database. And if we go for Edward Spencer here, 1768. So if we start off at the top, we've still got the all surnames, and we can go back to showing all the surnames. We can go back to show all of the Spencers if we want to. And we're now looking at this individual. So what we've got here is we've got his birth in 1768. I don't know where he was born. He's my earliest Spencer ancestor, and I'm still trying to find out exactly where he was born. And then we've got various data that's come up from various records that we've got about him over the years, his residence, his occupation. We then got his death in 1823, again in Newton St. Low. Now, and then his burial, because I don't know what day he died, but I know what date he was buried because I've got an image of his gravestone. And the subsequent dates here are marriages of his children, where on the marriage register, his occupation was listed. So that's why they appear in chronological order, but after his date.
Okay, so you're doing the date of the record.
Yes. And so that's one of the things with, I use Family Historian to record all my data, and that's where this has come from. And so that creates facts for an individual post-death, if you put in a child's marriage and this sort of thing post-death. We then come down and we've got his marriage here, 22nd of May, 1798. His spouse's name is Anne Dafter, and these are all his children. I've used the conventional blue and pink for boys and girls, green for marriage, black for death. And what we've then got a second marriage for him. So this was in fact his first marriage in 1794 to Letitia. And they have one child, Thomas, and he died. So we can look at, there's the family tree that we have. Just by clicking the show tree button here, there's Thomas, Edward, and Letitia. We can click on the tree there, and this lists all of his children, as you can see, again, those from that marriage. And we can go to any of these individuals because they are all hot links. So if we choose, let's go for Richard Spencer. We'll choose Richard Spencer. And now the main data has now changed to Richard Spencer.
Very nice.
And if we look here, we've now got a photo of him. It's not a photo of him, it's a photo of my grandfather. It's just an image I put in for now. But you've got a thumbnail photo of him. And you've also got like a clipboard icon here. And if we click on that, it pulls up a notes window. So anything that was recorded in his record as a note shows that icon, and then it pops up the display of that note, that everything is, that's the main record note for Richard Spencer.
Okay, so it's not all notes from every level, or?
No, it's just the main record note.
Okay.
If we come down here, we've got the same icon here next to his occupation as a grocer. So if we click on that, the note for that occupation says he joined the grocers owned by H. Morgan. So that was in the notes for that occupation record.
Okay.
So we can then, as you can see, it's pulled all of this information out of his data, out of his GEDCOM file. And then we've got 3 marriages from him. We've got his marriage to Jane Healy, who I've recorded and got the marriage certificate for, and it shows him as a widower. So I know that he had a first wife, but again, I don't know who she is, where she is, or anything else. Jane didn't live very long, and he then married Elizabeth. So that was his third wife. And again, this is the line I'm descended from. I'm descended from Walter Charles Spencer. So that gives you an idea of that. So if we want to see more about Elizabeth, again, she's a hot link. So if we click on her, we can then scroll back up and we can see about Elizabeth Greenman there. So this is now all of her data there. Now all of this is generated on the fly. None of this is a static page. And so all of her information likewise is there.
Now, can I ask, when you do show a tree, what you're
Show a
using?
tree? Yep.
Yeah. What are you using to render that, if you don't mind me asking?
That is my coding. I've coded that into the plugin in PHP.
Okay. And
That's a mixture of PHP, HTML, and CSS.
Okay.
It's just a 3-generation tree because that gives you the context of the individual, and the individual is always in the center. I can't see any, because of what I'm trying to achieve with the plugin, it's cousin bait. So I think that's enough to show, and you can then drill down left and right from there. For instance, if we'll drill down to Walter Charles, and so we've drilled down to Walter Charles, who's my ancestor, and we can then show his tree. Yeah, and so I don't think it's necessary to show a huge tree like Ancestry have got or some of the other online, because you're showing what's interesting here, I think.
I happen to have made the same design choice.
Yeah.
In Roots Persona, and people constantly ask for, well, can I build a 4-generation tree, a 5-generation tree? And it like you, it wasn't the point.
Yeah.
The point was to create context.
Yeah. One of the other things that you can do is if you hover over an individual, you've got a little pop-up there, and it shows Walter Charles, his record ID of I-76. So that's the record ID in the GEDCOM file that is then stored in the database. Now, the reason for that is if we actually want to create a story about an individual, I said early on I didn't want to do it for everybody, but if you've got somebody who's particularly interesting or a relative you particularly want to make a story about, then you can use one of the other shortcodes to create a page literally about that individual. And so that's what I've done here I've called it Richard Spencer. It's just a dummy one. So if we go over to edit that page, and again, what we've got is we've got a different shortcode here. So we've got the individual, we've got his ID, which we've pulled from earlier on, 79. The name, yes, name equals yes, and facts equals yes. Name equals yes means that it will put his name onto the page that this creates. And the facts equal yes will put the facts about him that are stored in the database on that page. So if we look at that page now, where are we? Preview, we'll go there. So this is what it's put up. Now you can see the page is called Richard Spencer, and because I've said name equals yes, it's put Richard here. Yeah. And so actually we don't want that in this case. If you were putting several individuals on a page, then you probably would. So if we now change that to an N and update it, we'll come back to the page here, and you see that Richard Spencer is now gone. So that's the thing about it. The facts are here. Now it's pulled those facts out of the database, and the notes as well here about him. It's pulled out of the database, and the photo. Now, where has it got the photo from? And we'll go back to the dashboard. And what we've got in GedShow, this is where this information I said we come back to later is. Keep existing linked photos, yes or no. So I said that the data is overwritten, but if all you're doing is updating the GEDCOM, but the static page that you've created with the photo and information on you want to keep, because nothing on that for that individual has changed, you can keep his photo and you can keep his page. If you select no, then those will be dropped from the database. Yeah, does that make sense?
And the page goes away.
And the page goes away.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the idea of those. We've got an options page. Well, let's go to pages first. So the page, this is how link a page to a person record. So this is where we put our person ID in and the page we want to link it to. Yeah. Because obviously you need some way of creating that page and moving it on. So that's what this does. So we'll create, if we create, we'll add a new page and we'll just call it, come on, test page. Who should we have this time? Let's go. Let's and he is I142. So we'll add a new page, and so yeah. What was his number again? 142.
You type like I do, Colin.
Sorry?
You type like I do. Why would you ever have facts equal no? Okay, that's a good question.
That's if you just want to write a story about an individual without including any of his data. So it's particularly useful for somebody who's doing, for instance, a surname study, who wants to write an article about an individual and a fact about his life, or you want several pages about an individual, one concentrating on his life as a child or as an adult or his job or his military service or something like that, and you just want a page about his military service, then you wouldn't want all of his facts in there.
So again, what does linking it to GedShow? I mean, I can do that with a regular page.
You can do that with a regular page, yes.
So what is the advantage of linking it to the GEDCOM?
I honestly don't know. It was one of my users asked me to say no, to make the facts optional. And
okay.
it was one line of code, so it was an easy thing to do. And it was.
I understand that.
If we publish that page and we view that page now, so there we are. That image, because we haven't got an image stored for him, it just plonks a male image up, and it just puts the basic information about him because we've got no facts. It just puts his BMD facts in regardless. It doesn't put any other facts in.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we can do is if we go back to, if we come back to GedShow and we now go to photos, and if we go I142, and if we say upload image, it pulls up the normal image editor. So we'll just select that one and we'll save it. If we now go back to that test page and we refresh it, it's now put his image in there because we've tied that image to that individual. Yeah.
And it's one image per individual. Is that correct?
Yes, it's just one image per individual. But of course, this is a standard page. So you can now add as many images as you want if you want to. So if we go back to that page where we got test page, edit the page, we go in here, we can come down here, we can say add media, and we'll add this one in. Link to none, medium, yeah, that'll do. Alignment, let's do it left. Insert page, update. So if we now refresh, it's now put that second image in there. So as I say, you can add in the normal way to this page. It's just pulling some of the data in for you, just the basic BMD data in for you.
Okay. Now you started this with from the menu. There's a page option, but then you manually input the short code instead. Is that what? So what is that page option for?
The page option.
Can you go back to the menu? Yeah. So GedShow pages.
Yeah, this is to create a page and link a page to a person record. So
Okay,
that
so it does the short code for you. Is that?
No, what this is doing is this is linking a page to a person record.
Okay.
Yeah? So if we go, so we've got the page for Richard Spencer. If we come back to, yeah, and if we go to Richard Spencer, where are we? Spencer, and we go to Richard, which one is it? It's this one, I think. No, it's not that one. 79, yeah, it should be that one. Right, it looks as though my last update has broken this because there should be another icon here that is links to the page. So if that icon there, yeah, should be on his page here next to this icon. And it looks like I managed to break that with the last update I did. So yeah, I need to sort that. I'll make a note of that.
So the pages menu item,
yep,
is responsible for showing the icon on this page versus the short code, which is used to build the page.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Yes. So what we've got is we've got the image icon and we've got the you see those should be stacked one alongside the other, and it looks like somehow I've managed to break this in the last update I did. And so I need to correct that because they should be alongside each other and there should be the page icon there, like that, should be alongside, where are we? It should be alongside it there, and it's not. So that's been a useful demo to find a bug.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah. We've got, if, for instance, you want to put focus on a particular family name, like the Spencers, you can have a short code that just displays this on a page. So, for instance, if we come back to add a new page, we'll call this Spencer. And what we've got is does help if I type properly.
I found that to be true also, with the same level of frustration. Why don't you know what I mean, computer?
Yeah. You can put your living yes, living no here if you want. So we'll publish that page and we'll view the page. So why isn't right? What have I done? I've done something wrong there.
Is it case specific?
Shouldn't be. Let's see if it is.
And are the spaces?
No, I think it's that. I think it's that space there.
Yeah.
No. Spencer. It shows Spencer.
Is it the space between surname and equals?
Again, looks like it's another bug that I've created. Not something as silly as that, is it?
Usually not. But yeah, it won't accept that.
This shouldn't be that picky. So
Yeah, it doesn't like the capital S in surname.
no, it doesn't, does it? Right, again, that's something else back to the drawing board.
So to put a positive spin on this, though, you talk about my last update. You're still actively involved in maintaining GedShow?
Yes, definitely. What happened is I started this by myself, doing all the development myself. And I put out, I don't know, 8 or 10 versions of it, and people were using it. I then had Graham contacted me from Australia, and he wanted several bits and pieces in it that I hadn't done. He's a computer programmer, but not a PHP programmer. And so he decided that he would help do the bits that he wanted. So he coded some of it, and we ended up coding some of it together. But he's now back working again. He did it when he was between jobs, and he doesn't have time anymore. So it's now down to me purely to maintain it. Okay. So, right. Okay. There's one last shortcode, which is the tree shortcode that you were asking about. Let's do I-7, because I know that one's in there. Yeah. Update the page. So if, for instance, you've done a blog post or created a page and you want to show just the tree for that individual, you can pump their tree in a page just using that shortcode.
So it can make that part of a blog post.
You could make it part of a blog post, you can make it part of a page about an individual or whatever else you want to do, yeah.
Does that include that gray bar above the...
Yes, it does, but of course, with a bit of CSS, you can hide that, of course, if you don't want it. So, yeah, you could just hide that with a bit of CSS on that element.
So CS underscore is your kind of your prefix for
Yeah.
selectors.
It started off as CS, and sometimes it's CS, and sometimes it's GS. It's one.
GedShow Colin Spencer is.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yep. So if you put a display none on that section, it deletes it. Yep. So that's that one. Right. The other thing is the options page. Now, if we go show all surnames, you can change the colors of the buttons and the width of the buttons in the options page if you want to. So we can make the surname button wider or narrower. So I don't know, let's set it at something like that. And we'll change the color to, I don't know, something like that. And the last option on this page is display children's birth event in the parents' facts. That defaults to no. So one of the things you can do is if we set that to yes, and we'll save that. If we now come back to the main page and we'll show all surnames. So now you can see we've gone to only 4 buttons wide. If you've got surnames that are long, then obviously you may want to adjust your button size so that they fit nicely on the page, which is what I've done here. If we then go to Spencer and we'll choose Edward Spencer again, we've now got birth of Walter Spencer 1817, birth of Mary Spencer 12, all shown in his data. Okay. And that's by clicking that option on the options page. So those are the main functions of the program itself. There's one other thing that you can do, which I'll show you on my live site. There are 4 widgets that are available that can be put as widgets on a page. And those widgets are upcoming birthdays, top surnames, anniversaries, and in memoriam. So by default, all except anniversaries show 10 individuals. And they show anniversaries, etc., for the current calendar month and the following calendar month. So if we come back to the home page here, we can see on my home page, what I've got is I've got upcoming birthdays, and it doesn't show the year, it just shows the day and the month. So all of these individuals, these 10 individuals, is it 10, 2, 4, 6, 8? Yeah, 10 individuals. Those are the next 10 birthdays for any of my ancestors in the GEDCOM file are there. In the top surnames, it shows the 10 most popular surnames that I've got in the database. And then the upcoming anniversaries, it shows upcoming wedding anniversaries. So 24th of Feb. So it's current calendar month. It's only showing 5 because we've got 2 names in each so that it keeps the widget fairly small. And the in memoriam is similar. I haven't bothered with an in memoriam on my own website, but that widget works in exactly the same way.
I will tell you that when I demoed this for a class that I was teaching, the widgets were very popular.
Yeah.
When I demoed those.
Yeah, again, they're good cousin bait. If, as my own site, it's got lots of pages on it. So it's only the surnames page, this surnames page here, that is GedShow. All the rest of it is static pages of one sort or another. So Like this is where my ancestors came from, Newton St Low, and it's a bit about the parish and photographs of the house and the farm that they owned there, etc. So all of these are just static WordPress pages. The dynamic bit is obviously the widgets on the front page here and the main GedShow surnames page. Yeah. One thing I didn't say is you've got letter buttons here. So if we click on K, for instance, it then shows everybody in the database with a surname of a letter K. S. Yep. So that's another function you can drill down easily. If you've got, as I've got, what's it, 1953 individuals here. If you want to scroll down to Lasad, for instance, you can just click L and it will put all of them up. Yeah.
And one of the advantages of having this single page approach where there's not 1953 static pages is performance, correct?
Yeah.
Because the database that it's searching against is smaller.
Yes, exactly. If you think about it, WordPress has got to store each of those pages with their template information and everything else, whereas GedShow doesn't have to do that. All it does is it just does a quick search. There's 4 extra tables in the database, and it just pulls the data from those tables straight in. And this site is a live website now, so you can see that it's reasonably performant, and that's
Definitely.
pulling data off a live website with 2,000 individuals in it.
So let me, at this point, open it up to any questions from our audience.
Okay.
Do any of you have any questions?
I have a question. My name is Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Hi. Very interested in your presentation and your plugin. I've been trying to follow on my site. So I've got GedShow loaded on.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do next to get the surname page. Like, kind of lost.
Right, the main surname page is once you've loaded your data, you've loaded your GedCom in, yes?
I have, yes.
Right, okay. So what we need to do is you need to have, where are we? There we are. Right. So if we go to all pages, my home page here will edit that. And so you need a page with the short code in brackets, GedShow space living equals yes or no in commas, and then square bracket again. So if you create a page like that.
Okay. GedShow.
So Helen, it doesn't generate the page automatically for you.
Oh, okay.
You've
So
got
I've got that. I've got that in
you need to create a page and
Okay.
call
It
it
doesn't have
GedShow
to be.
or
It
whatever
doesn't have to be
else.
the home page.
Okay. So I've got a page and it says GedShow living equal yes in brackets.
Yep. And if
What do I do next?
Right, if you say update or publish, you got a publish button at the right hand side.
Okay, just let me open it up here. Yes.
Yeah,
Update.
you should. Yeah, so click update.
Right.
Yep, and then you should now have view page at the top. If you're using the block editor, it's in a slightly different place.
I have preview.
Yeah,
That's
preview, click that.
That'll work.
Okay. And all I'm seeing is GedShow living equal yes in brackets.
Right.
Did you activate the plugin?
Yeah.
I think I
No,
did.
there's,
No.
Because I intentionally didn't talk about this part at the beginning, installing, but so there's 2 steps. You install the plugin and then you activate it.
Activated. Okay.
And that's from the plugins page.
The other thing is, if you're not seeing anything, make sure that you've used normal quotes and not smart quotes.
Oh,
Normal quotes are like this, which are straight up and down.
right.
If you've used the opening and closing quotes, which are curly, yes,
Yeah, it looks identical to yours,
yeah,
except I have a yes and not a no in mine.
yeah. Well, I can change that to yes.
Yeah.
Update. View page. And there we are.
Helen, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, share your screen. Let's
Okay,
have a look.
what part of my screen do you want to see?
Your browser.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Because we're going to move around a little bit.
I'm just trying to find share screen. Sure, it's here somewhere. Okay, share
There
screen.
we go.
And I'm going to share my browser, which is probably this one.
You probably want to take me off Spotlight. Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yes. Now go to edit page.
Edit page.
It's highlighted. That I think you put it in the title
Oh,
of the
okay.
page.
Yeah.
So how do I change that?
Just copy. Well, just
Copy
where it
like
says
that?
where it says choose block, click on that and just type in the same thing.
I hope I'm not holding up everybody else.
No. People make mistakes, and showing people how to fix those mistakes is a valuable part of the presentation. So
Okay.
Now do update.
I can
Okay.
promise you, you're not the only one who's done this.
Now go to preview.
Or view page at the bottom.
Oh, yes.
View page.
Unfortunately, that goes away quickly sometimes.
Okay, now I've got it. And so,
So,
this,
yeah,
this is
so
my, this is where I put surnames or some kind of a title.
right, whatever the title of your page you want it to be. So that is actually the title of your page. Is the shortcut.
That's why. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, that's fine. Now, because you're using the block editor, you end up with all of those surnames in a very narrow block. You need that block to be much wider.
So if you go back to edit page and
That's wrong.
where'd it go?
Yeah, that's probably the wrong one, right?
Yeah, go back to edit page from, you can do it right from the page we were on.
Okay, so
If you go up to the black bar, edit page, there you go. And if you click on the block that you put the thing in, and then over on the right-hand side, let's see what we got. We don't have anything. So what we're going to do is
Under dimensions, is it?
no, that's, well, let's look real quick, but I think that's just padding. On the right-hand side, the second to the last. Oh, there we go. Second to the last.
dimensions?
Yeah. Just click on the plus. Yeah, that's just going to be padding in the margin. So let's try something else. Underneath it, do a slash and look for a shortcode block.
Shortcode block.
Yeah, just start typing shortcode.
Oh,
There we go. And that's the block you want. So select that.
right.
And then put the same code into that block instead.
Okay, so I can probably just copy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control exit. Take. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, wrong number.
Now we know our PIN number.
But you don't know what it's for, though.
That's true.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's go up and delete the block above it.
Okay, so delete that.
You go to the three dots in the bar. You can in the bar above it.
Oh.
No, down. In that row, there's three bars, three dots. Oops. Go back to the paragraph row. There we go. Three dots in that menu right above it.
Right hand end.
This here?
No. Back.
Right above where you wrote GedShow Living.
Okay,
See where you can do bold and italic?
right.
Okay, the last one has 3 dots.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I see it now.
Okay, and then down at the bottom, you can do remove paragraph.
Okay.
All right, so update that, and then let's view that and see if it has the same limitation.
It is.
And then okay, so we view page, that did not solve the problem. So we can take this offline and
Yes.
sort it out. We may need to just put it in a section where we can assign it 100%
Okay.
width. But it's displaying, Colin, it's displaying the
It's displaying,
alphabetic bar
yeah,
wide.
properly. That's in a separate div.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There might be something else going on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I stop sharing now?
Yeah, go ahead and I can work with you to try and recreate the problem and
Okay.
and get it sorted.
Stop. Sorry, trying to find stop sharing here.
Yeah, it should be a red button in a
Stop share.
toolbar.
Okay,
There we go. Thank you.
thank you for your help so
Yeah,
far.
there may be something weird going on because I display the buttons in a grid container
Okay.
and use a grid template. So
There may be some CSS somewhere that's
there may be some CSS in the theme she's using as is mucking around with grid containers.
okay. I can help you get that sorted. Any other questions? Debbie, Joni, Karen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Ed.
Well, I still have a question for Colin.
Yeah,
Colin, what's the future for GedShow?
Basically, the static page I was on about for one of my customers wants for Google to crawl. That's the next thing. And that's about it. I've got to look into replacing the widgets with blocks. So I've got to learn about block programming. As much as I hate them, I'm going to have to do it. I think that's about it. For me, it does everything I want. And so that's I suppose the limitation in it does what I want. It's only if somebody who uses it says, oh, can it just do this? Can it just do that? So yeah. If it's something I feel like coding, then I will.
I understand. My own plugin started out because I want to do certain things, and it does those things. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
But I'm in the process right now of converting it to blocks.
Yes.
And trying to implement some of the things that people have asked for over the years. So how long has GedShow been out there, by the way?
I think about 3 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Hang on, let me, I'll soon tell you. I can, according to WordPress, there's about just under 200 websites use it. So it's, where are we, development? January 2019 was the initial release. So yeah, 4 years. Where's the time go?
I will tell you, when I did demonstrations of various genealogy plugins for WordPress, yours and mine were the only ones that worked reliably, which is why I wanted you on the show. Some of the other ones look like they're mass produced, and they weren't intuitive. And for my audience, I'm looking for people who can plug stuff in and we're done. So for a plugin to be intuitive is very important. So high praise for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Colin, for giving us your time.
No problem.
And showing us how to do it. As I've said before, it's always better to have the actual developer show us how the program's meant to be used, because if I'm doing it, I often miss things, or I give up in frustration because I think it's meant to do A and it really was there to do B. And that was the pages and the images
Yeah.
menu options. So thank you for explaining those. For those of you who came in late, this is a mini course in the for the GedShow plugin for WordPress. And with us has been Colin Spencer, the creator and maintainer of that plugin. It's a very active plugin, so you don't have to worry about it being out of date. And hopefully you'll find it useful. So thank you, Colin. Thank you for all the people who attended. And thank you for those of you who are watching on YouTube.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. And I'll do a cut right there when I do the video. Let me put it back in gallery mode. See who's still here. Last chance is we're not. This won't be in the recording, but anybody else have any questions for Colin?
I just wanted to say sorry I was late. I am in Central Time and I forgot about the time change.
Oh, I do that too. I constantly worry that when I negotiated the time with Colin that I was going to get it wrong on our end. So, yeah.
I have a quick question, if I can. Colin, do you have any kind of an instruction or help document to help those of us who are not familiar with how to do these things?
Right. What I've done is, if there's anything specific that you want, there's two things. There's a demo site which has got some bits and pieces on it, which are linked from the README within that you can pull up on the plugin page. And I started it with, when Ed asked me to do this, I thought I'd better do a Facebook group. So I've also started a Facebook group called GedShow. By all means, if you're on Facebook, join the GedShow group on there, and we can take it from there, do it on there. Or you can do a ticket on WordPress, on the plugin, on the WordPress support forum, whichever suits you best. Or drop me an email. My email address is in the plugin info as well. So most people seem to drop me an email rather than anything else. But yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation too.
No problem.
And Helen, I'll set up a time with you later to sort out that problem.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll do it-
I know you
we'll do
have
Zoom.
office hours or something, so maybe.
Okay, yeah, we can do it during next office hours too. So,
Okay.
Yeah, Ed, it'd be useful if you can tell me what the problem was once you've sorted it with Helen, so that if anybody else comes up with the problem, I know exactly what it is and how to fix it. And I'm, as much as I hate it, I'm going to have to get into the block editor.
yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
Yeah, I'm old school.
Yeah, no, I get it totally. So thank you very much. Thank you,
Okay.
one, for attending, and I'll give you back the rest of your Sunday.
Okay, thanks very much. I shall love you and leave you. Cheers then. Bye-bye.